Hey, so I'm recording this just after I finished my benching session for today. Yeah, bit of a disappointment, but ended off with on a bit of a positive note. I'm overall not too bummed about today. As I've mentioned before, I've been in a bit of a rut, a bit of a slump with bench in these past few weeks. Earlier, I was on a roll with bench. I was quite happy and excited with my progress I was going for it. But then, I just kind of slipped around. I think, when I made my submission for Benjamin McIntyre's Comes On contest with that video that I eventually ended up winning for, that was when it kind of started to slide, because I even said in the title and description of that video, it was a bit of an off day. I was hoping for a PR there, but I was just feeling off that day, and kind of since then, kind of my bench has just felt like it's not been at the peak of what it was before, where I was just I was doing quite well. I was quite excited and happy with it. But yeah, uh, these things happen, and again, like I said, I'm not too bummed about it because everything else is going quite well. Overhead press, I managed to snag a PR with it, and it's been kind of steadily going up. And I'm sure eventually that's going to slip at some point too. These things happen, especially with pressing. Pressing is my weak point. Always has been. It's the things that I've struggled with the most, and that's okay. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? And but yeah, deadlift and squat has been going well. Also, I'm hoping to snag a PR with a squat sometime this week. I'm surprisingly feeling pretty good after having my failed attempts with 117.5, especially on the second attempt. First attempt, I felt like pretty like bleh after, and I rested about 10 minutes after that, and then I started feeling good. I downed a bit of honey and some of a sport drink from my work and stuff like that, and I started feeling pretty good, and so I thought like, okay, maybe I can do it this time. And God, I was I was so close. I was so freaking close. I really thought I had it on that second one, but yeah, just couldn't get that lockout with it. Yeah, I think maybe if I had an assist with the unrack, I think there could have been a good chance that I could have got it, because yeah, just unracking is literally a lot of times the hardest part of the lift for me, and it just takes a lot of energy out of me. Maybe some other people it's not so much for that, but for me, for some reason, it just is. But yeah, I really thought I had it on that rep. But yeah, oh well, I'm not too bummed about it because, like I said, I've been in a rut, and yeah, I thought I would have had it today, but just so close. But yeah, anyway, yeah, these things come and go, and basically how I'm looking at it is I'm doing well on 3 of the 4 lifts that I'm doing. It's not going as great with this one, but 3/4 of the rest of my training is going well, so that I consider that overall a win. You can't win at everything all the time. If you think that, you're kind of fooling yourself. These things ebb and flow, and especially being a natural and stuff like that, you're gonna have highs and lows and all that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. But in regards to that, what I wanted to mention, what I wanted to address was where my mind is and what I'm thinking I'm going to do with benching moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future. As it's something I've been thinking of for a while. But yeah, in light of what's going on, and especially with me having that pause bench PR 5 kilo PR, and it felt pretty good. I still had more in the tank, which is also pretty good since I had those grinder heavy attempts before. I think I could have maybe at least done 110 kilo paused, but I didn't want to go that crazy doing it. I thought like a 5 kilo pause PR from last time doing it is pretty good, but it's not like an insane foolhardy jump, and especially because I want to save energy for my squat PR attempt this week. But yeah, I'm getting off track again. I have a problem with this. But essentially, my original idea was that I was going to keep doing touch and go um, because that's just how I've been doing it for so long. But with my accessory training for bench, I've always done it paused. I do pause reps. But for the big sets, I've been doing touch and go. And my original plan that I've had for a while is that I would try to get to 140 kilo, which is my pretty much my life goal with bench. And then once I hit that, then I would dial it back and then start doing pause. Because I have been thinking more and more that I would like to try my hand at competing someday. I think that would be fun and interesting thing to do. And, you know, in competition, you have to do pause bench. So, and obviously with calibrated plates and all that, and I only have bumpers and the 25 kilo rubber plates and stuff like that. So they're not calibrated plates. And the reason I got bumpers because this is a very small, thin wooden floor. It's not very durable, so I thought I'll get wooden plates, bumper plates, because they're a bit more kind to this floor. But yeah, I would like to get calibrated plates in the future because I know that they're supposed to be significantly more difficult, and I would think it would also be beneficial for me if I do want to compete in the future, so that I can kind of get myself accustomed to those lifts. But yeah, again, I'm getting sidetracked. I could talk all day about this stuff, but I think in light of what's going on and the rut that I've been in with bench press, I think a lot of it is kind of coming down to just subtle inefficiencies with technique and performance. Because when I was doing well with it before, everything felt really good. Everything felt locked in and tight. Leg drive was feeling good. My feet weren't slipping. I'm still having kind of issues with that. I'm just keeping my feet glued to the ground, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the floor because it's just really slippery. I'm hoping to get myself some rubber tiles soon to lay on at least most of the floor here, like probably on the other side of the shed where I've done my deadlifts before, and then also under and around where the rack is, so then the floor is more protected, and then that's also probably going to have more grip on the floor, so that should hopefully eliminate that problem of my damn feet slipping and stuff, because the grip on my shoes isn't all that great. They're not like super great or lifting shoes or whatever. They're just some shit kickers that I have, and yeah, and this floor does not have good grip whatsoever. So yeah, I think if I could have that would be a big help in and of itself. But yeah, where the hell am I? I'm just all over the place, aren't I? But in light of what's going on, I think that what I should do now, and it's kind of where I'm feeling right now, at least something to try, at least for the foreseeable future, is to dial everything back and then do even my big benching day, my top sets, to start trying it with pause reps. Just so yeah, like my 5 plus, my 3 plus, my 1 plus days, just doing all of those with pause reps. So obviously that means I'm going to dial everything back, and the volume is probably going to be ultimately lower because you just can't crank out as many reps when you're doing it with pauses. So like I probably won't be doing like 10 plus rep sets anymore with doing pause reps, because that's just not going to be feasible unless I dialed everything like super far back, but there'd be no point in doing that. So and yeah, the reason for that being is that I think it just ultimately will. It will fundamentally improve my overall pressing strength and performance in the lift. And so ultimately the goal is that I'm going to take some steps back so that I can ultimately take steps forward with the bench press. Because bench press is probably of the big three, not counting the overhead press. I just like to do the overhead press because I just like it a lot. It's a great lift, very underrated, I think. But of the big three, squat, bench, and deadlift, that's the one that I struggle with the most. Second being deadlift, and to be honest, it's the one that I have the least amount of interest in. Of the big three, just personally, some might maybe think that that's heresy. Oh, why don't you love bench? Everyone loves the bench. But for me personally, that's just my least favorite of the lifts. Not to say I don't like it or anything, or I don't have fun with it, because I obviously do. But of the big three, that's my least favorite personally. But there's a fly on the phone. F off. But yeah, that I think that's what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna probably dial everything back and just focus on doing like nice pause reps, and I like doing pause reps. They feel nice, and you just really focus on getting everything really nice and tight and just exploding off the chest. And that, yeah, and they're just chatty, They're more chatty than touch and go. That's for sure. So I think that's going to be the approach that I'm going to do from now on, is just going to dial everything back and focus on doing pause reps. And then so I'll focus on also getting pause rep PRs. I did a 105 kg pause rep bench thing. It's nothing impressive or anything, but it's a 5 kilo jump from what I did before. So then I can work from moving up from there. And then so eventually I'm going to be able to blast past where I am now. And then, maybe eventually I'll do like going back to touch and go reps with the top sets. Or we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I think that would be a good thing to do, because ultimately this isn't a race. As I've said, bench is probably the one that I'm least interested in progressing with and going as fast as possible. 140 is my big life goal. Everything past that, it's just icing on the cake. So like, I'm still hoping that I can hopefully get to 120. I said that I would get to 120 this year minimum when I was riding high on the bench and everything was going super well. Yeah, and I think if I just wasn't in this rut right now, I could probably get to 117.5 or maybe even 120 by now, because like I was just feeling really good with it, man. But yeah, these things happen. So that is, I think, the goal going on from here out. I'm going to start doing everything paused. So if you guys are wondering like, oh, what the heck, he's doing a lot less weight and stuff like that, that's why. I'm going to take some steps back so I can ultimately move forward in the future. So yeah, like I was saying, it's not a race, it's a journey, right? I want to take this slow and steady and not get too far ahead of myself, so that I can, because at the end of it all, you have to enjoy this, right? You can't get too stuck on just like, oh, I got to keep improving all the time. There's tons of ways that you can improve. And, sometimes you just have to take a good hard look at yourself and say, how can I step back, in a way so that I can make leaps forward in the future. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, expect that moving forward. This has gone on long enough as usual. So take care. See you soon.